Hello there, everybody. Welcome along to the League Two podcast. Delighted to be joined by my usual co-host here on EFL Debate by Ed Walker, an expert on all things fourth tier. And we're also joined by Danny Shepherd from the One Up Front podcast and Salford City blog and the Old Dead Tree fanzine as well. Danny, great to have you on the podcast. Thanks so much for joining us. 3 on the spin for the Ammies. You must be delighted at the moment.
Nah. It's sorry. I wish I could. I'll tell you what. I'm less delighted. I'm more proud because we have got chewing gum, plasters, bit of old rope, linking it all together. We haven't got a squad, and somehow we've managed to do this. So whether that's people patting Cal on the back, which I'm sure he wouldn't mind, or the players playing above themselves, do not really understand what it is. But again, fire away as to what you think your thoughts are on this at the minute.
I see your point. I feel like there's a backline here and a kind of midfield three that is midfielders, maybe not necessarily what you consider balanced midfielders, but basically playing wingers at wing back. I've never really thought Kadeem Hamis as a wing back, but I suppose Carlisle tried it first, and then you're doing the same. Yeah. And your front line seems to change week in, week out. I thought it was going to be Stockton and Mai. It seems to be Jay Burden. I thought Callum Cisse was signed as a right back. Don't know what's happened there. He just seems to be wherever else at the minute.
5 times that's happened. I don't know what the bleep is going on there, but he's a great presser. So maybe we are more, because just let me say this, right? If you switch Woodburn and Cisse, you've kind of got 2 people in positions they can understand. Woodburn can play as a support striker, in my opinion, and Cisse can be a box-to-box merchant. But my theory is that Callum Cisse is so important because we've got such ineffective pressing strikers, even Jay Bird, that we've got like a Macaulay Langstaff, not in finishing, but in pressing in Callum Cisse. And that's what Cal wants. Defend from the front, protect our back line and keep us up the pitch. Just a homespun philosophy, guys.
I'm kind of fascinated by that mindset because it feels like something I just don't expect managers to do. Just kind of say, we're going to play a front 2, but we're basically going to say one of you is not responsible scoring goals. You're just going to do everything defensively for us. I quite like that. I feel like I'm not seeing other people do that.
Yeah, who are the chances falling to? Cisse, it's a nightmare.
Well,
it's a nightmare.
The good thing I think I like about you at the minute is that you've got a guy. I think Alowo has been a fantastic addition. Barnet, really good. And your ball strikers are great. Luke Garbutt's.
Sorry,
and your ball strikers are great. Ben Woodburn's pulled some shots out. We know what Luke Garbutt's like with a dead ball. So at the minute, can't really fault it.
That finish at Newport was something else, wasn't it, from Alowo?
He needs to reconsider his career. He should be playing up top where Cisse is. Stick Cisse at the back and put him up alongside Jay Bird. That's great.
Well, I'll tell you what, it actually, I won't say it was like for like, but it put me in mind of, you might be both too young, but Brian Roy for Notts Forest years ago finished. It was kind of a spinning back heel against United, I think, probably in the early 90s, start of Premier League. So, but yeah, Alowo, he's made me rethink the whole idea of analysing anything to any degree in pre-season, because the guy came in, played most of our games in his right spot in the middle of back 3, and he looked tentative, he looked nervous, he looked like he didn't want to. It was like Tilt's kind of honest twin. He didn't want to foul anybody, didn't want to push anybody, and I thought this guy is a bit of a pussy, really. And last few games, first half of the Rotherham game, he got took off. I think it was a slight injury. Against Accrington, magnificent. So he's had basically 2.5 full games in a row now of being Negru-like, and that's the best thing I can say.
Right, Negru was so good he's earned himself a word.
Oh yeah,
Negru. They call it a Luwo night now. I have to change it to that. Negru was only temporary. This is permanent one.
Negru who? Yeah, exactly.
I mean, Danny, one thing I'm really curious about is, I suppose a lot of people from the outside will assume that Salford City people will associate you sort of loosely, outsiders I'm talking about, will associate you with having money. You know, you think of the class of 92, and even the American investors like Melvin Kelly and the others from this summer, and yet you've not really recruited very much, and you, like you said, you don't have much of a squad. So do you think that this is a bit more of an underdog story than maybe some people will assume?
Yeah, I mean, look at our first three signings, all from the National League, all under 25, all with huge potential growth. I don't think they were saying to Callum Ceesay's agent, "I tell you what, we're going to play you up front for half a season." I'm sure that wasn't part of the negotiation plan, because the guy's a young lad who naturally, from what I found out, was a right wing back at Spurs Academy, and then he was converted into a box to box. So he's not even been a box to box midfielder very long. He's a very, very energetic, as Tom Williams said. The guy's got an engine, and yeah, it's a bit bizarre. But to go back to your question, money. I was at the fans forum where Gary Neville was telling us as much as he can how it is, and he's told us that although we might be towards the top of the spending league in terms of League Two, we flatlined there, apart from our first two seasons where we tried to go all in and tried to get out of League Two way back when. Ever since then, it's been much the same. We've varied it by about 50 grand a year, up or down, not very much. So we're not a rich, idle plaything to be hated anymore. We're trying to run it sustainably. And if you look at the players we're identifying, Aluo, we could flip him like a house conversion now. He'd be worth serious money. And that's I know it's very early in the season, but we've identified a few players. Place Ceesay in the right place. I think the same thing. And I do see that we are starting to see some good lads in the academy as well, although you know, the fact they're even part of our squad at this time of the season says what a small squad it is.
One thing that stands out to me...
Are we missing Osama Ashley, Dan? Are we missing him?
I think if what I hear is correct, we'll be permanently missing him. I don't think he's staying, because if you look at his contract situation, he's only here. This is an extension we triggered, one of those silent extensions no one ever talks about and never gets announced. But we triggered it, and he's injured for a month. Is he? I don't know. He's still walking up and down in front of us, eating his food during the game. So he still walk. And same with Haji Minoga. Is he injured? I believe Kelly and Mai definitely is. So those three, if they all disappear to League One, etc., it could be a problem. But Osama Ashley is irreplaceable. George Grant, or as I call him, Jorge, just because it looks like that, he's not a DM. He's not a DM. No. We're bypassing him. We are playing Wimbledon football under Dave Bassett. That is what we're doing at the minute. We're playing it all as Cal did when he first came in. We don't need a passing DM. We need a destroyer back there, and we haven't got one in the team because Osama Ashley's there. So the short answer should have been, Ed, yes, massively.
The use of the wing-backs is an interesting thing for me, Danny, because it feels like whereas Rosaire Longello is more of your attack the flank guy, you've got an interesting dynamic, I think, between Luke Garbutt as the outside centre-half and Kadeem Harris, because it often seems like Harris cuts inside a lot, and that can create chances for Luke Garbutt to get forward on the overlap and put in those deliveries. So has that been a pattern of play that has got you some joy?
First thing I saw from Harris, I don't actually know what's his preferred foot, but I think his only goal for us so far was a cutting right foot bender straight in. And I think ever since that, most teams have kind of doubled up on him to stop him cutting in. So we're going to have to figure out something else. But Longello, I don't know if you think this about your own teams, but like there's sometimes you just look at a player and think you're a placeholder, mate. You just sat there on Osterfield, placeholder. You're nowhere near good enough. You're a depth piece that as soon as we bring anyone in, because Carl keeps talking about 4 players that he's bringing in, and at least 2 of those are going to be, I think, replace Osterfield, who is, if any time he's in his own half, he's a disaster. Like kind of Gab, where you said guy cannot tackle. He's very poor defensively, but he's actually decent going forward, and he's got quite a good stamina level on him. But yeah, Rosaire Longello, Swindon shipped him out the door mid-contract, asked for no money for him, asked no questions, just get him out. And that tells you that how good is he? Not that good.
I thought he was okay for Accrington Stanley a couple of years ago.
Oh, right, okay.
Yeah, I
wouldn't
mean,
know.
we'll see. Yeah,
I can't wait till Salford are actually good, because they're sat here with 9 points out of 12 and fourth on the table, and you're still slating half the team. I can't wait till these actually look quite good.
You've seen me before, though, man. You know what
I
I mean?
know,
It's just what you're getting. Gab knows what he's getting. He's getting the truth here. So my truth, anyway. So
speak your truth.
Yeah.
I mean, Hallgrave Grant, I do feel, has shown some nice touches so far, and you've got some good footballers in there with Ben Woodburn as well. But again, missing that sort of more athletic side.
Yeah, I mean, I've just finished. I've just posted it to my Medium blog, which is where I host all my content now. And I was looking at the reshifting of things that's going to happen when all our returnees, if Mai, Minoga, and Ashley, if they don't get sold and they come back and they are actually injured, what happens? Then Grant kills Woodburn, basically, because Ashley comes back into DM. Woodburn, who as a rep, as ex-international, never see the lad, apart from firing a good goal the other day. But honestly,
good every now and then for a kind of highlights reel goal, it feels like every now and then.
Yeah, he's shooting far too much. Obviously under instruction. Nobody does anything without Cal's say-so in this team. You can see the players who've got license to do certain things and those who haven't. But yeah, for me, Grant then shifts to a more natural position, because when he played in central midfield in pre-season, absolute a slick operator, really, really nice. Plays with his head up. He's not just a wimpy kind of, because he looks quite lightweight, but he gets stuck in. So I like him. I think Woodburn will be out. I think we'll already have signed on the bench, I should say. I think Osterfield will be back with the B team, I think. I don't think he's anywhere near it. I just don't rate him. And we'll probably sign somebody for that position. Or we'll have Cisse drop back where he should be when Amai is fit. Minoga walks into right wing back. Best right wing back in this division. But I don't pay as close attention as you guys. I think he's an absolute monster. Great in the fast ball carrier.
I thought it was going to be Barnsley by now. I think that might have died
Lincoln
down,
was my thought, but yeah.
Okay.
That was a link I heard.
Okay. Right. Matty Young then. I was very surprised when you got him back, Danny. But he's certainly showing his value at the moment.
Yeah, it's kind of a more positive bloke than me would say. Tell you what, I mean, I'll tell you what. I was pleased the day I heard. I was in a local cafe and I nearly hit the roof when I was told. So that was a positive, and it is a positive because he's Alex Kearns had his moments where he saved us. A few of our goalkeepers have done really good things, but they were never that consistent across a long period. But my expectations of Matt are he can never meet them because he's so high, because he's proven, especially during the back end of last calendar year, December. My nickname for him is Floydy, right? Pink Floyd, the Wall. That's who he is. That is what the guy is. He's just unbelievable. And his passing as well, his touch on his kicking has started to come back now. He's a little bit rusty, I would say, because it's one of his kind of almost surprising best attributes. His kicking. He was finding Cole Stockton's like the toe that Stockton wanted it on. Never mind the part. It was amazing. So, but the only thing I would say negatively is that we hung around for Matt for a long time, and I've said to a few of my pals at the game, a lot of eggs were in that
you
basket.
Wish he was there.
Bang. Floydy.
This is horrendous.
All I want to say on this, Gab, is just that what if we didn't get him? We have Mark Howard at 30, whatever it is, high 30s, and who else? We hung around, knocking on doors, hoping that Young would come back, and he did. but I think that was a massive risk because I do think the way he was treated last season wasn't great. I don't think he deserved to. I think he maybe didn't deserve to start the season because that's Carl's choice. But to drop him after he'd done like 8 clean sheets in 9, after he'd had maybe 2 games slightly subpar, was outrageous. And I thought Sunderland and Matt would never even consider coming back. But fair play to him, here they are.
Absolutely. So Danny, yeah, just before I let you go, bit more optimistic than you were before the start of the season, or
I can never tell with him. Can never really tell.
I know. I need to mix it up every now and again to catch you off guard. But it's funny. I was on a Notts County podcast recently, and some of the comments came in. Oh, I like this guy. He says it like it is. Well, I don't really say it like it is. I just say it like I see it, and that tends to be quite glass half empty. I mean, we've got 3 players on the injury table who we believe are coming back, but maybe sold. There's no guarantees in this game, and there's 4 players that Cal keeps promising us, and one of those is a marquee defensive signing. The whisper I hear is Stefan Negru. It's like, if we keep knocking on these doors long enough, we'll eventually get the gang back together. Matty Young, Osama Ash, they'll all be back.
Matt Smith coming out of retirement again. Is that what's happening?
He's probably the new manager. Yeah. It's bizarre, but I actually, I'm proud if a team this threadbare can produce the effort and determination application that they are, especially that I saw last night, then what can our proper team do within Minoga, Ashley, Cisse where he should be? That's a team. Maybe only a starting 11, but it's a team.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Danny, thanks so much for joining us, and look forward to catching up with you later in the season.
Anytime. Just say the word.
Absolutely, top man, Danny. Really appreciate that, and everyone go get subscribed to One Up Front on the Medium and the Old Dead Tree fanzine. So Ed, I wanted to ask you about the first few games that we've seen in League Two, first few game weeks we've seen in League Two, and we won teams 4 out of 4, and that's Crewe Alexandre, and it's been a fantastic start for the Alex, hasn't it?
I can never get Crewe right. I don't know if you have this, Gav. Whatever I think of Crewe pre-season, the opposite happens. I just can't win with them. I think 2 years ago I didn't really have much hope. Make the playoff final. Last year I had some hope and they didn't make playoffs at all. And now I come into this year really doubtful about where to sit with them. And they look so good at the minute. They look really, really, really good. The fit of Josh March in that front line is lovely. It just works so well for them. The willingness he has to just drift away from that centre forward role, run the channels, might not be seen in most people's eyes as this great source of goals, but I think he's such a great facilitator of them. The work he does to set the team up around him is top notch. Yeah,
100%. As you know, I was a little bit sceptical of the signing at the time, and
when are you never not?
I'm just as bad as Danny. No, I think what I love about Josh March, and especially his relationship with Owen Lunt on the pitch, because they're basically like a front 2 out of possession. Lunt is really aggressive, a bit of a scrapper like his uncle, and March constantly pesters opposing for hassles and Harry's defences all game, and I love that, and I think it makes such a difference. We were talking about Salford and having Callum Cisse further up the pitch because he can do that. I think it's a really valuable skill in strikers nowadays, to be willing to be that tenacious. And then I think, I don't know about you, Ed, I've been so impressed with Tommy O'Reilly on the right hand side, just because he's brought that extra bit of skill and flair to the equation.
I almost feel like we're starting again with O'Reilly because there is such good reviews from Aston Villa on account of his ability, his potential. He just didn't have the right year last year when you think about it. Went to Shrewsbury, very early signs of promise. That Shrewsbury was a sinking ship. It was the worst team in League One last year. It's very hard to flourish as a talented loanee in a team that, I mean, it was just way out of its depth in League One. Then goes to MK, who similarly just have a terrible second half of that season. And he's got so many midfielders ahead of him. Never really felt like he had the spot. This, I think, now is the opportunity for him to go and settle him in. I'm going to play in advanced positions in this team and really flourish. And what I love about this Crewe team is we've had this fantastic start. Still got Jack Lancaster to come back at some point. Shiloh Tracy. Joel Tavern has been out of action at the minute. Mattis Holacek. we haven't seen this squad at full personnel yet, and yet here they are with a perfect record so far. This is pretty damn exciting to me.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is Josh Kennard's influence as now director of football. Because I think when we had Tom Boone on the podcast for the summer deep dive on Crewe, he was very quick to praise Kennard's influence. And I think we're seeing that now with the quality of the recruitment and the players that have come in and really made a difference. And somebody like Tommy O'Reilly, who we touched on there, I think the second season loans are always the one you want, especially with players who are really highly rated at youth level, because sometimes they just need that first year to acclimatise to
You have that contrast, don't you, though, Gav? Sometimes you have ones who have a really good first loan and then they take the next step up. They take a step up league and people get excited and it doesn't quite hit.
Sure.
And then you have these ones where actually the first loan is kind of just treading their feet in the water. Maybe they find that initial one wasn't the right environment and it's loan 2 to a different club with more sense, where things just really properly click and you see that talent come through.
Yeah, 100%. And then at the other end of the age spectrum, I think we shouldn't take for granted Mickey Demetriou, because I think he's one of the top.
Never taken for granted Mickey Demetriou. Never done it.
Yeah.
Long felt he was underrated at Newport County for the work he did as a left side of a back three. Goes to Crewe in his third season, has the best goal scoring output of his career, makes the playoff final. Just still an absolute colossus. Nowadays, not so much in the middle of the back three anymore, playing on the left side of a back four with James Connolly. Just works beautifully for them. He's just perfect for a League Two defence.
Yeah, I think if I was doing a sort of League Two team of the last 10 years or so, I think Demetriou would be in it on the basis of just that consistency, because he does it year in, year out. And also, he's such a brilliant person to have both around the dressing room and around the club generally, because he really makes time for people. And I think it's those values that you want. So I think he represents the club.
And I think him being a left-footed centre-half helps, because there's something about left-footed defenders do seem to shine a little bit more because they feel more valuable.
Yes. Yeah, 100%.
Just that comfort they have going into the left channel compared to others.
Yeah, absolutely. So what about Chesterfield then? 9 points from their first 4 games, a defeat for them last night, losing 4-1 at Gillingham. Bit of a surprise, because from what I've seen of Chesterfield, they've been extremely efficient and well organised. But I would back them to get back on the road and continue their excellent start.
Well, I like to combine it with a double talk and say, are we allowed to get excited about Gillingham? Because I think that's a pretty big deal. Them scoring 4 goals in one game is quite a big deal when you think about their general record in recent years.
Yeah, they don't tend to score more than once, do they?
No, it's been a while since they've had more than a goal a game record over a season. And to do that to a Chesterfield side up to now was perfect and just completely put them to the sword. Maybe installs a little bit of confidence in me with Gillingham, which I haven't felt like I've been able to have in recent years. And they're on a long unbeaten run now in league matters, which stretches back into last season. Maybe there's something quite good coming there with Ainsworth. And I think as Chesterfield, if they return to their normal selves and continue the season we think they have, that could look like more of a standout result for Gillingham, even at this early stage.
I think I've been caught out with Gillingham, though, with good starts in the past, though. And sometimes they've struggled to sustain it, whereas I have a bit more faith in Chesterfield and Paul Cook to sort of last the course. But yeah, certainly a big result for Gillingham, and really exciting from that point of view. And could we be looking at a big season for Josh Andrews, do you think, if he can stay fit?
Be nice if someone up top of Gillingham had a good season, because it feels like a while since we've seen that. I mean, I think we know 2 years ago that Elliot Nevitt came in on the back of a really good year at Crewe with a lot of hope. Jack Nolan got picked up on the back of a really good year at Accrington. Not particularly, I don't think, happened to either setting things particularly light to the level wanted. Josh Andrews has probably looked quite good at Accrington. Seb Palmer Holden we haven't been able to see yet because of fitness, sadly, but I loved him previously at Newport County when he looked like a really effective finisher in their front line. Sam Vokes, hugely experienced digger, again, someone we've barely been able to see. Joe Gibbode's probably the one to talk about at the minute, the little prospect coming through, who I think it's felt a little bit Aaron Rowe to me, where I wasn't quite sure where his position in the team was. He felt like he could fit in a lot of different places, but
do you know what I like
now
about
is lively in the front line.
What I like about Joe Bode, Ed, is that that fresh energy that he brings. I think Gillingham have sometimes missed that, because sometimes the fact that they've been able to afford these experienced, proven footballers means they've maybe missed out on that bit of energy or exuberance in certain areas. So I think Joe Bode certainly seems to bring that. So he's somebody who, and by the way, as much as Ainsworth likes his experienced players, he tends to work with players at either end of the age spectrum. So at Wickham, he did develop some young players as well, and I think Bode could be one. He does at Gillingham. Andy Wing wasn't happy at Barrow after that 1-0 defeat to Harrogate. I don't know if you saw his interview, but he was absolutely I think he said it was the worst performance, or maybe the first half was the worst performance he'd seen in his career in management, which is quite scathing, but also probably a feather in Harrogate's cap.
Yeah, not so much smash and grab Harrogate here, just effective clinical Harrogate, making the most of that opportunity in the first half, and then just keeping Barrow at bay. Probably the first time with Barrow, I felt a little bit of concern, because I think we discussed this last week. Looked at the start, Emkidont and Chesterfield, you can have 0 out of 6 from that and it not be a shock to anyone, really. You then get seemingly back on track with that Notts County defeat, which maybe says more about Notts at the minute than it does them. I mean, we'll see how Notts go tonight when they're playing Shrewsbury.
Sure.
That is not a great result at Harrogate, certainly, for a team who probably want to have personal ambitions of taking themselves away from the bottom end of this league. Right now, I think most people would be looking at them and feeling like they could be one of those bottom end sides. So some desire for some growth for them still.
Possibly, yeah. I think from Harrogate's point of view, I'm quite encouraged that they can dominate a game and not just win it through James Belshaw making amazing saves, or Anthony O'Connor and Tom Bradbury heading balls out of the box and the sort of smash and grab like you mentioned, because I would probably assumed that with fullbacks like Liam Cass and Warren Burrell, who's obviously a stalwart there, they would be quite good at keeping a tight back four and keeping, contributing to that solid defensive shape, but not necessarily being the ones that would help them impose themselves on games. But Harrogate did that, so that's a really encouraging thing from my point of view.
I think we're starting to see a bit of value in Jack Evans, who's coming to midfield. Could be a bit part of that. I quite like his addition. He seems to have dislodged that pair of Ben Fox and Bryn Morris that I thought was probably the standout part of the Harrogate team and basically almost untouchable. And Evans has come in there and basically taken Fox's spot at the moment. So I'm quite encouraged to see him make that move up from, I want to get this right, I believe it was Halifax. There's so many Halifax players now up in this level. Yes, so there's one.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the big result at the top of League Two last night was Grimsby Town winning 1-0 at Walsall, thanks to Evan Curry's winner. But the Mariners did need some good goalkeeping from Christy Pym to give themselves all 3 points. Are we looking at them as serious automatic promotion contenders, or a bit early for you?
I think you have to wonder about it. I've got a chance to speak with View from the Findus earlier in the week to talk about that Walsall game, and indeed there are other games coming up. And there was a general consensus from them: this is their first chance to demonstrate credentials, because the start now has been quite positive. They really enjoyed some of the wins, particularly that late winner at Newport. Against Newport, sorry. This is a chance to go and face up against a side who was a high finisher last year in League Two, and indeed it's felt like it's rebuilt to a certain level to go again to the top end of League Two. And I think they passed that first test with colours. And Christy Pym really showing his value in particular. I just kind of wish they'd put away some of their chances a little bit more, because it felt like Jace Cabra had a couple of moments to break through. And that wasn't so much the fault of him with the delivery, and actually the man supplied to it. But felt like Grimsby's goal could have come before it did to Evan Curry.
Yeah, I think Grimsby had opportunity to slide Cabia through, and they didn't always take it with the execution. I think Artel said it was actually their worst performance of the season as an in-possession entity, but I still think they've got some extra ingredients that we've maybe not associated with Grimsby in previous times, like having a top goalkeeper for this level, like having a bit more physicality, like having a bit more depth. And I think those extra ingredients are what's kind of going to be carrying them through games when maybe their in-possession game isn't quite as good. So I think they might have lost that in the same circumstances last year. So from my point of view, I think that's really encouraging from Grimsby's perspective.
I would fully agree with that, yeah.
From Walsall's point of view, I think the big question mark once again is up top, especially after Johnny Stuttle's injury. I think they've got in Aaron Presley a really useful target man, someone who can win the flick-ons and knockdowns. But I think they need the right striker, and probably two now, because I don't think you can be relying on the likes of Jamil Matt and Albert Adoma.
Jamil Matt has had a long time being one of my favourite lower league strikers, just for the absolute unity provides and the physical presence. And I still have good memories in my mind of when he played in the front two with Matty Stevens not too long ago at Forest Green and was excellent.
Or
worked really well together.
Eric Hammond at Newport as well.
Yep. He's had occasions where it worked. It certainly felt like Presley's kind of inherited that physical profile starting point off him this season. The injury to Stuttle is the issue at the minute, because it feels like Stuttle was the only one of that lively kind that was really around. Josh Gordon's previously felt like a lightning thought, but not really been the case for a while now. So yeah, this is something I think they hope they can address before this window's done.
Yeah, big end to the window for Walsall, because I do think they've got a lot of ingredients in other areas. I love Connor Barrett. I think he caused a lot of problems for Jaden Sweeney last night. So he'll be playing in League One next season, one way or another. I think Connor Barrett. I like their eights as well. Jealous and Lakin land in good areas. Mason Hancock, is looks dangerous if he can get back to full fitness as well. But yeah, definitely that attack's a big area for Walsall. I also wanted to touch on Barnet getting off and running with that 2-0 victory at Swindon.
I love this because we know how Barnet want to play under Dean Brennan. We know they want this possession, very focused approach, trying to dominate the final third, high wing backs, try and work the ball across. And when it's on it, as we saw last season in the National League, it's lovely. I love that this win tonight has come with two quintessential direct League Two goals away at Swindon. Just late on, throw into box, flicked on, back post finish, and then just route once on the goalkeeper, worked across and then fired it in. It's the kind of goals I was seeing Barnet concede this season, and I quite like how by the end of this game, Brennan just basically said, let's just go back to type. Let's just start playing like a standard League Two team and actually get ourselves over the line.
Yeah, I think they probably needed to show a little bit of pragmatism. I did feel, Ed, in their games previously that it's not like they were a million miles away, because there are some good principles of play that Barnet have, and that can help them create chances and be quite a dangerous team going forward. But I think they needed to just make one or two tweaks to solidify things and make sure they're not the chances they do give up aren't like ridiculously easy ones. And hopefully they've done that.
Yeah, it was the errors in possession that was a big frustration with them. And I wonder if Ollie Hawkins has kind of put himself into the fold to be the main forward at the moment, because from a more direct perspective, there's a lot of sense in that.
Absolutely. Well, I think that just about wraps it up. Ed, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate your insight this evening on League Two. Be sure to give Ed a follow on Twitter as well. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone, and we'll see you again for another League Two podcast next week.